following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello and welcome to the Box Score Breakdown. Week 2 of the NBA season is upon us. It is now Sunday evening here in the Midwest and the West Coast of the United States. My name is Rochlani. I'm joined by Adrian Benjamins. We are a Hoop Ball presentation. Adrian, how are you this evening? Adrian, can you hear me?
What's up, Neil? One season in the books. One week in the books. We're on to week 2. Neil, tell me about your first week. How did you do in your leagues, man?
I think I just sneaked by the great Eric Ong in one of our matchups, 5-4. Another one, I think I won 7-2. And then in my home league, things finally have turned around, and I'm currently near the top. So I'm doing better. How about you?
So the good news is that I got a win in the GG League that we're doing with Eric Ong and some of our Filipino listeners. I got a victory there. I got a victory this week in the Hoop Ball Staff League. So far, so good. But the bad news, Neil, is I am struggling in my home league where I'm trying to go for the three-peat. And I'll be honest with you, Neil, I learned an important lesson, I think, this year. And that is, so my home league went from a 12-team league to a 14-team league. And I learned that when you're in a 14-team league and deeper, you need to somewhat play it safe. And the reason is, if you take gambles and you miss, there is not much on the wire for you to pick up. So, Neil, in this league, I have guys like Kyle Anderson, Jonathan Isaac, Mario Hezonja. I got guys that I can't count on. And if this was like a shallower league, I would just either drop these guys, pick up some usable guys. But because this league is so deep, there is not much on the wire for me to pick up. And now I have to make a decision, play these guys that I don't trust or fall behind in games. It's a roto league. So, I should have, it's so obvious, right? The deeper the league, you got to kind of play it safe in these deep leagues, because if you miss, you might get in trouble. And that's exactly what happened to me so far this year. So I got some work to do in this league, man. What do you think, Neil?
Hey, tell me you got JJJ, though, in that league.
I do have JJJ.
Right. He's looking like he's ready to break out and be a top 50 stud, isn't he?
JaMychal Green being out. I think JJJ's gonna. I think he's gonna grab a hold of this starting job and never let go, man. I don't think we may never see JaMychal Green start again.
Well, we will see. I don't know. So far, so good. That was a great one. Another one you call was Chetty Osman, who's looking really good. D'Angelo Russell had a solid night. He's been decent. Kind of where we thought he'd be. Do you that's some good insight. Yeah, I'm in a 14-team league and a 12-team, and the rest are 12s. And you're right. Once you get past, a 10-team league, you can take chances, because if you miss, there's tons of guys out there. But and the difference between a 12 and a 14 is pretty drastic in terms of waiver wire opportunities, and then it just gets down to nothing after that. So that's always good to try a deeper league and see how it plays out. Are you ready to? Do you want to talk anything about? You went to the Clippers game, is that correct?
I went to the Clippers game on Friday. Had a great time. Clippers versus the Thunder. Was really disappointed that I didn't get to see Russell Westbrook. I guess he was this close to playing. He actually played. I think he played tonight. But anyways, it was a great game. Neil, Boban had a great game. Went to the line a couple times in the fourth quarter, and the Staples Center was chanting MVP for Boban. It was insane, man. It was crazy.
That is so much fun. That guy, I think for the smallest, wrong word. For someone who's not a star, he gets so much star love. It's incredible from the fans, right? Do you want to talk anything at all about this? What happened last night in Staples?
I guess we got to talk about Spitgate, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I heard, I heard Chef Ali refer to it as Spitgate, and I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Look, okay, this is what I got to say, Neil, and then I want to hear your thoughts. Super disappointed, and by the way, I'm a Laker fan, right? Super disappointed in Brandon Ingram. First off, the initial shove on Harden after it seemed like the play was over and Harden was walking away, shoves Harden from behind, right? Gets into a referee's face. Like, what is he going to do? Is he going to, I don't know, man. Then after he's already been pulled away from the scrum, comes back in and throws a punch. I am really disappointed in Brandon Ingram. I think this shows a real lack of maturity. And I'm super bummed about Brandon Ingram, man. I think I believe he got the most amount of suspension as far as games, and I agree with that. Okay, second take real quick, man. Rondo spitting on Chris Paul. And, I know there was a lot of speculation in the beginning. Did he spit? I saw the latest video that came out that showed he did indeed spit. Man, Rondo's crazy. And Rondo's got some mental issues. I mean, it takes a real different type of person to spit in someone's face like that, man. It's just like major sign of disrespect. And I don't know, man. I'm as a Laker fan, I'm super disappointed. What do you think about it, Neil?
Yeah, well, I have a lot of thoughts on this, but just condense it to a few thoughts. First of all, I have no idea how hard it is to be a professional athlete, and then the amount of frustration that must come up on the court where guys are trash talking back and forth, and the refs are maybe favoring the stars, and the ability to keep your cool in that situation. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. The guys don't push guys and shove guys because there's just so much competitiveness, hyper competitiveness, and athleticism, and guys trash talking one another. With that said, I agree with you about Ingram. I don't. The second one was really the one that really threw me off when he came back in and punched, and then I'm surprised he only got one more game suspension. Like, I don't know what the rules are for suspending, but Paul getting 2 and then Rondo 3 seems about right. And then Ingram, I thought, should get like twice as many as Rondo. So he got 4. I thought he should get whatever. I don't know what the ratio should be, but it should be a lot more than just one more, I think, considering he punched twice. So, again, it's I don't really like this stuff anyway. Like, I know that some people love the drama and they love like all this stuff. I just want to watch basketball and guys compete. So, don't really have many more thoughts on that. I don't know if there's really anyone that benefits from this. Eric Gordon's going to start for the Clippers. He did tonight. We can talk about him a little bit. Ingram, it's just going to be spread around, I think, on that team. And then I guess Lonzo is the beneficiary of Rondo going out for a little while. And who knows how that's going to play out if Rondo gets the starting job back or not. You have any thoughts on the basketball side of this in terms of fantasy?
Yeah. So I think that I'm really hoping that Josh Hart gets a boost here because Josh Hart has been playing really well, and I think he really fits in nicely next to LeBron. So I'm really hoping we see a nice boost from Hart. Lonzo Ball should also get a pretty good boost here. Maybe Kuzma in the front court with no Brandon Ingram for a while. So let's see how it pans out. But yeah, I mean, I think those are the guys. But all these guys are probably already owned off the wire anyways. So we're not running to make any ads. It's more like if you have these guys, you're happy to get a boost. And if you have Rondo, Chris Paul, and Ingram, you're pretty bummed that you're gonna miss some games from them. So anyways, that's my take on it. And I like you, man. I don't like seeing this. Let's just play basketball. It's just, to me, like, basketball is a contact sport. You're gonna expect some contact. Embrace it. Go with. I mean, Neil, earlier in that game, Josh Hart got clotheslined, got clobbered by James Ennis. Pops up like a professional, gets up, let's go. You know what I mean? Brandon Ingram needs to play like that, man. Whatever he got from James Harden was nothing compared to that clothesline that leveled Josh Hart. And he lost his cool. So come on. James Harden's one of the most if you're not a fan of James Harden, he's really frustrating because he's good at drawing contact. And sometimes, a lot of people look at it as really cheap the way he fools guys into fouling him. Some people are like, "Oh man, it's so cheap. It's Bush League," but it's part of the game. So basketball is a contact sport. Embrace it. If you don't want to get touched, Brandon Ingram, take up tennis. Go take up volleyball or something. So Brandon Ingram needs to keep his cool. And what's really odd, Neil, is I've never seen this from Brandon Ingram before, like lose his cool like that. So that was really, it kind of feels like it came out of nowhere, but something to keep an eye on, man, because this guy's supposed to be maturing and improving, getting better, and not a good start so far, although he has looked pretty good as far as basketball-wise goes. What do you think, Neil? Any closing thoughts here?
I think he'd be a fantastic volleyball player if he did play. I think he'd be phenomenal out there. Let's just go ahead and move on to today's games. No more really thoughts from me either. All right, so the first game tonight. Are you ready? Unless there's any other news or notes you want to talk about from this weekend.
Nah, nothing really.
Okay.
Where should we go?
Let's go Atlanta-Cleveland. First game today. Atlanta goes into Cleveland and waxes them 133-111. My God, is there any more defense in the NBA? Vince Carter played 12 minutes, 3 points, not much of a line. Taurean Prince, decent line, 26 minutes, 14-6-1. Not very well shooting, though, 5 of 16 from the floor, 2 steals and a block, though. Alex Len, this is what we were talking about, picking him up as a flyer. He finally delivers, 16 points, 11 rebounds, 4 blocks. Too bad I dropped him after I picked him up because it didn't look like he was going anywhere. Trae Young had a breakout game, 35 points, 11 assists. This is what I guess the Hawks envisioned when they drafted him. 13 for 23, 6 3-pointers, and a steal. Kent Bazemore, the Wiley veteran, with 23 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Someone who, if he's out there in your waiver wire, I think is going to be a consistent top 100 player, maybe even better. And that's really it for Atlanta. They had some other players get some minutes near the end because it was a blowout, but the only thing I would take away is Alex Len, you just can't trust him. It's too bad this isn't like a consistent line. Otherwise, I would say pick him up if you need blocks or rebounds, but I don't know what his minutes are going to be like. Any thoughts from you on the Atlanta side?
Super quick, I just want to say, man, what a great game from Trae Young here with 35 points on pretty good shooting, 13 for 23. Neil, I was really vocal at the draft in the offseason saying that Trae Young, I thought he had the highest probability to bust in that draft. I did not want to touch him for fantasy because I thought he was going to be putrid in turnovers and field goal percentage, and I just don't like having guys that just murder you in two categories. I gotta eat some crow here and say that I was wrong, man. Neil, this is like the third game of the season, and he's busting out for 35 points, 11 assists. He can provide you with threes. He had 6 threes tonight. This is an amazing line from him, and I just gotta say I was wrong. Now, I do think he's still gonna hurt you quite a bit from the field goal percentage, and he's still going to have a turnover issue. He only had 1 tonight, which is pretty great. But anyways, just want to touch on that. The other thing is with Alex Len, Neil, was about to drop him. In fact, the only reason why I didn't drop him is because somebody beat me on waiver priority to pick up the guy that I wanted. So I actually still have Len on quite a few teams, and I'm really excited to see this. This is, when I drafted him with my last round pick, this is what I was hoping for. This is what I had envisioned. So I'm going to hang on to him for a little longer. Not going to drop him yet to see if maybe he can get going. Neil, any closing thoughts on the Hawks before I move over to the Cavs?
Yeah, just real quickly, I agree with you. Trae Young is going to be, just one turnover tonight, which is amazing in 38 minutes and all the usage he had. Some nights we're going to be like this. Some nights will be really bad shooting, I think. So it's going to be the good with the bad. Tonight was a great night. You just have to be willing to deal with both of them. So that's all. He'll have that's how most rookies are. You want to start with the Cleveland side?
Yeah, let me jump into the Cavs side, and I got to start with Cedi Osman. 12 points, 4 assists, a block. Kind of came down to earth a little bit in this one because he shot 5 of 15, which isn't great. And he also had 5 turnovers in this game. So this is probably the worst game he's had, but 39 minutes, and I think he's going to be a stud. And I'm really, again, disappointed I don't own him in any league. I don't know how that happened. Kevin Love, 16 points, a steal, 3 assists, 17 rebounds. That's beautiful. Now, he only shot 6 of 19, which isn't that great, but you'll be pretty happy with that line from Kevin Love. George Hill, who's been getting the start at the point guard spot, 16 points, 3 assists, 1 steal, 28 minutes. You guys make sure George Hill's owned in your league. In some standard leagues, I saw him not get drafted. Probably has been picked up since then, but just make sure that he's owned in your league. Neil, in deeper leagues, 14 teams, Tristan Thompson's on the wire, and I'm desperate in a few leagues. I may end up picking Tristan Thompson up, especially while I was going to say while Larry Nance is out, but Larry Nance came back in this one. But anyways, Tristan Thompson, 11 points, 1 block, 1 steal, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, shot really nice 5 of 6 from the field. You'll take that from Thompson. Neil, a guy I get asked about a lot, Rodney Hood. Should I drop Rodney Hood? This is why I'm still kind of hanging on to Rodney Hood in some deeper leagues. 13 points, 3 assists, a 3, shot 6 of 12. If he's going to start, he started in this one, got 27 minutes. I think he can give you some nice points, some threes. Doesn't do a lot else, like doesn't get a lot of defensive stats or like anything else, but I think he could be helpful in some deeper leagues. So off the bench, I just want to mention Jordan Clarkson, 19 points, 2 assists, 3 rebounds, 3 threes, shot pretty nice, 7 to 12. He's had a couple of good games this season. You deep leaguers, put him on your watch list. I wish he would get more minutes. He's in the low minutes. He only played 23 tonight, but I think he could be usable in deep leagues. And it's good to see Larry Nance back. 9 points, 4 assists. He only played 17 minutes because he's coming off of an injury. So I think Larry Nance needs to be owned in all standard leagues. And I think he's going to have a pretty good season. Neil, what are your thoughts on the Cavs, man?
Yeah, I agree with you with that. 39 minutes from Osman has really jumped out at me. Didn't have a great night otherwise. But if it's hard to beat fantasy irrelevant if you play 39 minutes in a ball game. And he's clearly one of their leaders on offense for the first through the first few games. I would say Rodney Hood is the other one that I have thought about adding. I don't think he's taken in any of my 12. Well, he might be taken in one of my 12-team leagues, and probably the 14. But he is sort of on the cusp right there. He's not someone I've really liked before because he tends to just hang out on the wing and shoot. You know, he'll pick up a couple rebounds because the ball comes to him, maybe an assist or 2. Tonight he got 3. But defensively, he tends to put up very little defensive stats. So I think you might be able to find better than him, but he's not. If there's no one else out there and you need threes and you need points, he might be worth a flyer. Clarkson is someone I stay away from as well. Tonight, though, had a good night shooting, 7 to 12, so he was able to put up 19 points. Larry Nance Jr., he's also one curiosity for me. I have him in one league. I think if he gets into the 30 minutes, if he takes over that center position, he'll be worthy for sure. Right now, though, at 17 minutes, it's not really worth starting him until he gets that. That's really it. Tristan Thompson, he's kind of hard to gauge, too. He made 5 or 6 shots, which gave him double-digit points, but if he misses a couple more of those, it looks like a much worse line. So maybe in a deep league if you need rebounds. That's really it. Any closing thoughts on Cleveland or Atlanta?
That's all I got. Why don't we move into the next one? Where do you want to go next?
Let's go out to Oklahoma City. Sacramento gets the win on the road, 131-120. Surprising result with Russell Westbrook coming back. Cauley-Stein just played 22 minutes, 13-7-2 with a steal. Amon Shumpert getting the start and having a monster night. 26 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 9 of 13 shooting, 4 3-pointers, 3 steals, 2 blocks, and just 2 turnovers. Bielitsa, someone who I told Dan I picked up with, and he came through the internet and slapped me in the face because he says this guy's terrible. He did have a decent night, though. 12 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 of 6 shooting, 3 steals and a block. Could be serviceable in deeper leagues. Healed, only played 23 minutes, but doing what we expect him to do, scoring points, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 3-pointers. De'Aaron Fox, this is another nice call by you. Someone I was worried about for his field goal percentage, but so far this season he's been just fine. 22 points, 10 assists, looking like one of those, if not, I thought I had him like in a third-tier point guard. He's looking more like a second-tier point guard with the possibility of going to that first-tier point guard. It's crazy so far, at least from a fantasy perspective. 22 points, 10 assists, like I said, 1 3-pointer, a steal and a block. And then they've got just a lot of guys that are getting decent minutes, but not great. Justin Jackson, Marvin Bagley had a decent game. This team, it's hard to predict who's going to be good on a day-in, day-night basis. Wait, I can't even say that. Anyway, De'Aaron Fox we can trust. Cauley Stein we can trust, although tonight maybe we couldn't. And maybe Healed. That's about it. And even those, the latter two didn't have very many minutes tonight. So what are your thoughts on the Kings?
I am ecstatic that De'Aaron Fox is playing well, Neil. I grabbed him in a lot of leagues. I own quite a bit of Fox. Super excited about this. 42 minutes tonight. Jeez, they really rode him hard. I love to see that. And Bjelica's the guy who I get asked a lot about in deeper leagues. Should I pick this guy up? I think the answer is yes, man. I mean, he's played pretty well. I think he's had one stinker this early part of the season, and that's it. And man, this is the type of line that I think he's capable of here in the 12 points, 3 steals, a block, 5 rebounds. I think, man, he can shoot the 3. He had 2 tonight. I think we need to pick this guy up in deeper leagues, not standard leagues. And then I'm still encouraged by Cauley Stein here, Neil. He only played 22 minutes and still put up 13 points, 7 rebounds. Didn't have a block, which is kind of a bummer. But for him to still put up a usable line in low 20 minutes, I feel like that's a good sign. He's looked really good to start the season. He looks like he's got some extra motivation flowing from somewhere. I think he looks great. Not too much else that I see here. Neil, if you don't have any closing thoughts on top of that, I'm going to jump into the Thunder.
Well, let me ask you this question because I've been wrestling with it myself. Whenever I see a stat line that Iman Shumpert put up, it grabs my attention. Do you just put him on a watch list? Do you pick him up in a 12-team league, a 14-team league? I am not going to do any moves on him. The Kings are way too unpredictable for their minutes for me to trust this. But do you have any thoughts on what to do with Iman Shumpert?
Here's what I really like, Neil. I like 2 things. Number 1, the minutes. 30 minutes. That's beautiful. If a guy goes off like this kind of out of nowhere and they played 22 minutes, 20 minutes, to me, I always look at that as like, okay, that's kind of fluky. For example, the other night, Dwight Powell from the Dallas Mavericks had an amazing line. And I was like, I got to go pick this guy up. Looked at his minutes. It was like 17 minutes. I'm like, okay, that's a fluke. Number 2, though, Neil, what I love, the usage. He took 13 shots tonight, which I believe is tied for most on the team here. Marvin Bagley also had 13 shots. That's a really good sign. So, yeah, I think maybe we need to just take a flyer on this guy. I'm talking about deeper leagues, like 14 teams. I think if you're a 12-team league, put him on your watch list. If he does this again, let's grab him. But here's the one bad thing, though, Neil, and sorry I'm taking up so much time here. Frank Mason was out tonight. He's been playing a lot, and they don't have their really great wing guy. Bogdan Bogdanovic is not back yet from injury. He's due in early November. I believe he gave himself a November 7 comeback date. So I'm when those 2 guys come back, I think Shumpert could definitely fall off. But yeah, man, I think in deep leagues, when it's like a desert on the wire, you got someone to draw, like you don't want it all. Go ahead and grab Shumpert. Let's see what happens. Standard leagues, let's just wait and see. What do you think, Neil?
Yeah, I mean, this seems like some guy who you pick up, and the next time he's in a game, you start him, and he puts up like the exact opposite numbers, and you're like, what the hell? So I would watch him and see how this rotation shakes out. If he is going to get significant minutes going forward, I would, even when he did before, he didn't really produce much. So I would not pick him up just yet. All right, you want to take us through the Oklahoma City side?
So on the Oklahoma City side, Russell Westbrook is back, guys. 32 points, 8 assists, 12 rebounds. Didn't have a steal or block, which was kind of odd. And the 5 turnovers. Ouch, that hurts for sure. Also 5 of 11 from the line, hurting you there. 13 of 23 from the field's not bad, but definitely, man, where we knew he's going to hurt you, the turnovers and the free throw percentage did exactly that. Steven Adams, man, I was at the Clipper game on Friday. He dropped the hammer. Oh my God, man. He had this dunk on Boban, the Staples, like everyone in the Staples Center had their jaw on the ground, man. Steven Adams, awesome. 10 points, 14 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 steals, filling it up on defense. You love that. 4 of 8 from the line, it's not great. 3 of 7 from the field. Paul George, 29 points, 3 steals, 2 assists, 6 rebounds, 10 of 18 from the field. He was 3 of 9 from downtown. Perfect 6 of 6 from the line. I think Paul George is primed for a great year, looking pretty good. Schroeder, who on Friday had an abysmal game. He was awful. Looked better tonight. 14 points with 8 assists, a steal. Really nice to see Schroeder have a usable line here with Russell Westbrook back. That's pretty nice to see. Nothing really else that stands out to me. Neil, do you got any thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, a couple thoughts. Well, first of all, we knew that Patterson and Ferguson weren't really usable in any format, and it continues to be so. Westbrook coming back, curious to see how we do. The 5 for 11 free throws. I know he had a bad year last year shooting free throws. This is not a good sign, although it's just one game, so who knows. And then Schroeder, like, what is his role going to be once Westbrook comes back tonight? It was just fine in terms of, a late round draft pick, 14, 4, and 8. Not great shooting, but we kind of knew that. But he did have 2 3-pointers and a steal. So serviceable at the end of your leagues, standard leagues. Will not be obviously a great asset though. And definitely if he's out there in deeper leagues, pick him up if someone dropped him once they saw Westbrook was back. That's all I've got for this. Should we move on to the third game of the night, where I think Golden State lost their first one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Golden State loses 98-100 at Denver. Draymond Green, 4, 5, and 4. This is a very Draymond Green night, light. 4, 5, and 4, 1 steal. Gosh, he must have been partying in Denver. Kevin Durant, 20 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. He looked phenomenal tonight. Did struggle from the 3-point line, just 0 3-pointers, a steal and a block. Damian Jones played 19 minutes, 8, 2, and 1. Missed both his free throws and just 1 block. Still not relevant in standard leagues at all yet. Klay Thompson, 15 and 7 with a steal and a block and a 3-pointer. Steph Curry had a solid game, 30 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 6 3-pointers, maybe more than solid. He's looking like the top 5 player we thought he was going to be fantasy-wise and even higher in real life. And that's really it. In terms of guys that's worth talking about, Iguodala did play 26 minutes, but had a very similar line to Draymond Green. I'm not really taking anything new away from here. Damian Jones is on my watch list still. I was hoping he'd be more like a 10-point, 8-rebound, 2-block guy, and that's not. He's nowhere near that. So not worth adding in anything more than like really deep leagues. Klay Thompson, I think both you and I thought he might have a little bit of an off year this year. More of a third-round draft pick. I usually don't draft him to the 4th round if he's there, and tonight kind of showing why we might have thought that. And Draymond Green, this is one of those nights where when you own him, you're like, why did I draft him in the 2nd round? But anyway, your thoughts on Golden State?
So I just want to say, yeah, I agree with you on Klay Thompson, man. I'm not a big Klay Thompson guy. I believe 3 seasons ago I drafted him in my home league just because I thought I was getting great value. He was there in the fourth, and it's just kind of boring. And this is why, man. Like he has quite a few nights like this where he goes for 15 points. He gives you 1 3, which that's the main reason why you draft him is to get some um, uh, is to get a lot of threes. And so, anyways, yeah, I was really disappointed there. Draymond Green, I'm really concerned about. Seems to be having some injury issues. He missed about 12 games last year due to rest. So, really hoping that injury is not going to be a factor for him. I steered clear of him this season. Durant, Curry going to do their thing. One last thought on the Warriors is if you haven't dropped Jordan Bell, this just basically solidifies our thoughts on Bell that he's droppable. Only played 3 minutes, man. I can't believe this, man. I can't. The other night he was a DNP CD. 3 minutes tonight. He's really fallen in this rotation. Strange to see, but I feel like you can drop him everywhere. All right, Neil, if you don't have any other thoughts, I'm going to move on to the Nuggets.
Just real quickly, yeah. So Kevon Looney did play 19 minutes, got 10, 6, and 2 blocks. But yeah, you can't trust anyone. Like you said, with Bell, there's no center here that you can really trust. So no reason to own any of them. All right, yeah, now you can take us through Denver's side.
Okay, so for the Nuggets, you know what? I got to start with Jokic. And before I give him the line tonight, man, I wish I had this pulled up. I don't, but was it last night? He had one of the amazing roto lines that I've ever seen. I believe he was like 10 of 11 from the field, perfect from the line. He didn't have a single turnover. He was amazing. Congratulations if you guys drafted Jokic or if you own Jokic this year. You guys are in for a great season. 23 points, 6 assists, 11 rebounds, 7 of 14 from the field, was 9 of 12 from the line. Great game. Gary Harris, 28 points, a block, 2 steals, an assist, 3 rebounds. It's nice to see this from him. 2 threes tonight, 4 of 7 from the line, 11 to 20 from the field. You'll take that. Maybe we're seeing a little boost here from Gary Harris with Will Barton out of the lineup due to injury. Paul Millsap, man, I was really scared of Paul Millsap this year. Here's exactly why, man. 5 points. The block and 3 steals is really nice. An assist, 6 rebounds. I think we're going to see a lot of lines like this from Paul Millsap this year. Jamal Murray, only 3 points tonight, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. Had a pretty bad night. 0 of 9 from the field tonight, Neil. Ouch. Had a really bad game here. Had a really great night the other night. So let's just hope this was just a fluke bad game for Murray. I think he should be fine. Not too much else to talk about here. I was really curious if Trey Lyles can emerge as a fantasy asset with Will Barton likely missing some time. It looks like Torrey Craig got the start. Didn't do too much in 27 minutes. 5 points, 9 rebounds is nice. 2 assists, a steal, a block. So I guess that's kind of decent. But anyways, real curious. I still want to watch the situation to see if anyone can kind of emerge as a pickup with Will Barton out. Not too much else to talk about. Neil, do you got any closing thoughts on the Denver Nuggets?
Yeah, I think it's just a tough night for Murray. He was guarding Steph. Maybe that's why his offensive game was so down tonight. He's still going to be a very good point guard and good fantasy producer in this league. Yeah, Torrey Craig, Trey Lyles. I did a speculative ad on Lyles in one of my leagues, thinking let's see if he goes off tonight and gets the is a beneficiary of the unfortunate Will Barton injury, but that did not occur. Neither does it for Torrey Craig. I don't think there's really anyone here. It looks like it got spread around a lot between Hernan Gomez, Lyles, I don't know if it's Monte Morris, and then Torrey Craig. So unfortunately, there's no like one person that jumps out. And from watching the game, I didn't see any of those guys look all that particularly great either. So, yeah, other than that, it's kind of like what we expected from Denver. A lot of Gary Harris, a lot of Jokic. Just a tough night for Murray and Millsap contributing in reality life, but fantasy life just starting to drop off. Last game of the night, Houston at L.A. Any last thoughts on Denver, or do you want me to go to Houston?
Nope, let's move on.
All right, man. Houston, after losing Chris Paul for a couple games, lost tonight 112-115 at the Clippers. Eric Gordon got the start, had a very good night, 33 minutes, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 3-pointers, and a steal. Harden had what you expect Harden to do, 31 points, 14 assists, 4 rebounds, 4 3-pointers, 2 steals. Capella, 23 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Very efficient, 11 of 14, 3 blocks, and just 1 for 2 of the line, so he didn't really kill you. James Ennis and P.J. Tucker, wow, they both really struggled. 6-3-1 and 3-3-1, respectively. No need to go further with that. I don't think either one is really worth owning, although I guess P.J. Tucker has had some decent nights. Did have 37 minutes. James Ennis, on the other hand, just 23 minutes and has not put up a decent stat line this season. Off the bench, Carmelo had 9, 6, and 1. Not someone I think is worth rostering in standard leagues. Neither is Gerald Green or Mike Carter-Williams, who played 14 minutes. My only takeaway is Gordon, I guess, if he's out there, which I don't think he's probably out there, but if he is, certainly pick him up. He'll be useful for next game at the very least. You can stream him for at least one more game. Your thoughts on Houston's night?
I was really excited to see Clint Capella have a nice game. I own quite a few shares of him this season, so I love to see that. It's kind of interesting with no CP3, seeing Eric Gordon get the start, 21 points was really nice. I think, CP3 is not going to miss a lot of time, but I think for sure, definitely for you DFS guys, I think Eric Gordon could be a pretty good play. PJ Tucker, Neil, I got asked a lot, should I pick up PJ Tucker? And I said in deeper leagues like 14 teams, it's okay. But this is exactly why I was kind of hesitant. In 37 minutes, he took 2 shots. That's like atrocious usage rate right there. So that's awful, man. But anyways, other than that, nothing else. The usual suspects here. Neil, should I move on to the Los Angeles Clippers?
Yes, please do.
Tobias Harris, man, what a pleasure it was to see this guy in person. Really talented, so smooth. 23 points here tonight. No steal, no block, not a big defensive guy, and only 4 rebounds, 1 assist. So you'd like to see him do some more stuff in some of these other categories. But shot 9 of 15, you'll take that. 2 threes, perfect 3 of 3 from the line. Neil, the other guy who you and I think we talked about a lot during summer, Danilo Gallinari, man, he looks good as well. In person, he's big, man. He's tall and just so talented, so skilled. He's got kind of reminds me a little bit. He's got like some Dirk Nowitzki like shades to his game. Like you see him do some things that kind of remind you of him. What a great game from him tonight. 20 points, a block, 4 assists, 9 rebounds. 5 of 5 from the line, a 3, 7 of 19 from the field. You'll take that, pretty happy. Not too much else to talk about. Boban came down to earth tonight. Only played 5 minutes here tonight. So, I know a lot. He was a real popular ad just to see what can happen. So you're kind of bummed out if you took a speculative ad on Boban only to see him get 5 minutes here tonight. And I'm trying to look. This looked like it was a close game too, by the way, Neil. 115-112. So, and you know what? Maybe Montrezl Harrell had the hot hand here. 17 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks from Harrell. Neil, I know Harrell is a guy who you were kind of high on coming into drafts. As we thought that Harrell could steal the starting gig eventually away from Gortat and from so this is great to see from Harrell. Keep an eye on him. Still only 24 minutes. I definitely think there could be a time where, Gortat only played 18 here, had a real disappointing line. I think eventually Harrell's going to take over here. Oh, one last guy I want to touch on, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 12 points, 4 assists, 5 rebounds. He's already getting some pretty good minutes. He got 26 in this one. Neil, when I was at the game Friday, they closed the game with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He played the entire 4th quarter. He didn't score well in that game, but it was just great to see that Coach that he trusts him and that he's going with him. This is great to see so early in the year. I think there's going to be a time at this point, there's going to be a point in the season where Shea Gills is a solid fantasy contributor. Neil, do you got any points or do you got any closing thoughts here?
Yeah, just a couple just to reiterate, like you talked about, Gallinari, when he's healthy, he's a top 50 guy, as he proved again tonight. You just worry about when or if he doesn't stay healthy enough to play. Yeah, that's the biggest storyline is the Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, he outplayed Beverly. Beverly has not looked great this season, while Shea has. And if Doc trusts him and he starts to creep up into the 30-minute range, he will certainly be worthy in almost every category or every depth of league. And then Montrezl Harrell, this is what I expected the season to start off with, getting a little more minutes than Gortat and putting up a solid line like he did tonight. And then eventually creeping into like the high 20s and being very startable in 12-team leagues. So I think if you want to get ahead of the curve, both these guys, they probably aren't going to have nights like this every night. But I think maybe by the time we get to the I don't know, end of the year, beginning next year, they will, if not sooner. So it's hard to say, when to make that move, but I think both these guys are on track to be fantasy worthy in a couple months, if not sooner. So just depends how much you're willing to stash a guy. And that's all I got. Any last thoughts on this game?
No last thoughts on this game, Neil, but can I go back to give you credit for something before we
you can always do
close
that.
the show out?
Yeah.
So on the last show, you had asked me, do I need to pick up Rodney Magruder? And I said, I don't know, Neil. They're missing a bunch of guys. I think we got to pick this guy up, man. He last game played 42 minutes, went off, had 19 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steal, a block. He's been having that was coming off of a 20-point game the night before when you had said, do we need to pick this guy up? So I think you're right, Neil. I think we need to pick this guy up. But I am still a little weary when this team is at full strength and they get Justice Winslow back, they get Dion Waiters back, and they get James Johnson. I'm scared. But until then, let's ride him, man. Let's ride him while he's hot. Pick him up. Go pick up Rodney Magruder. What do you? I got to give you credit for this one, Neil. You called this one. What do you think,
yeah, well,
man?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you have to pick him up and just use him until he's no longer usable. If you have someone you can drop, that is, because he is only going to be usable for his shelf life is not very long. Unfortunately, if those guys get back and the rotations are what we expect. So unfortunately, you can't just pick him up thinking you have a guy for the rest of the season. You have him for until things change, which could be as soon as a week or a couple days, or it could be a couple weeks. So it's hard to know. So yeah, certainly if there's a space, take them. That's all I got. You want to wrap this up?
Yeah, let's do it. Hey, you guys. We're into week 2, Neil. Let's do this, man. We hope you guys had a good first week to the season. And thanks for listening to the show. You guys, hit Neil up on Twitter, @BallWithNeil. Hit me up at Twitter. Please give me a follow, @Adrian Benjamins. We love hearing from you guys on Twitter. And we're excited for this week, Neil. Any last thoughts to end the show?
Oh,
man?
yeah, just to remind everyone. So our show is planned to be on 5 nights a week, Sunday night through Thursday night. So we'll be back on again tomorrow. After the games close, it'll be produced, and I will figure out a way to get it out soon after that, although I'm pretty darn slow with these things. Anyway, that's our schedule in case anyone was wondering. And good luck to everyone. Enjoy the games tomorrow, and we'll talk to you then.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.